Is a camera lens with an aperture of f4 good enough? Or is a lower aperture like f2.8 or f1.4 better? What about 100 megapixels? Is it too much resolution? And does it even make sense to pair these two things together? Today we'll answer both of those questions while exploring an ancient castle town in the Czech Republic. The camera I'm using is the Fujifilm GFX100RF. It's a medium format camera with a fixed f4 lens and a 100 megapixel large format sensor, which has caused a lot of drama online for how expensive it is. So, is a lens and a camera with an aperture of f4 good enough, or is it a deal breaker? It's really interesting because this type of view is exactly where I would actually want a higher aperture. We're shooting kind of like in the middle of the day. Yeah, it's almost 12 o'clock. I have a big scenic landscape behind me, and at higher apertures, at f4, at f8, at f16, I'm gonna be able to get more in focus. Like if you were out with an f1.7, 1.8, 1.4, probably an f1.2, definitely a 1.2, there would no way possible would you be able to get this exposure. You would either need an ND filter or you'd have to stop down because most cameras max out at a 1/8000 shutter speed. So the white buildings or some of the highlights from the sky would be blown out and you would lose all the color. Now that is one of the advantages of this medium format with 16-bit. I have a little bit more flexibility to recover my highlights. But of course, we're at f4, so I don't necessarily need that 16-bit. I have it, but I also have NDs built into this, so I don't have to put an ND filter on the front. Kind of cool that Fujifilm did this. Go, Chris.
Yep.
How's your ND situation right now?
Oh, the ND's working good because this is the first time I've used this camera, which has a much lower base ISO for vlog. It's like at 100 ISO. So I'm actually getting it out of this like 2:32, which normally I'd have to carry like a bigger one. So the camera's kind of helping in this situation.
I'm running into a bit of a situation myself because Fuji base ISO is 1250. So my ND is like, I'm actually cranked to f7. Even with f4 in bright conditions like this, it's a good example of where some of your whites, like your highlights in your sky, might actually be blown out. And f4, you actually have to step down in some cases.
I have two notes though, because this is a medium format camera and the sensor, like when it shoots, you have a mechanical and you have an electronic shutter. Now when it's on mechanical, you'll always get your shots sharp, but it has an option for the electronic shutter. But if you move ever so just enough, you'll get like a warped image on the electronic shutter. I learned this the hard way while taking some of the photos for the project.
And if you are using the camera, the settings that max out will flash red. So you'll know that that's the setting you need to kind of work on a little bit. One of the things that you're not seeing, because I have to record myself while we do this, is that I actually have the vlog camera, the XH2S in one hand, and the GFX100RF in the other hand, which means I have to do a lot of my photos one-handed. And again, because it's brighter out, I don't need a super slow shutter or a super low aperture. I can actually shoot at f4, still, shoot 1/1600 or 1/2000, and my exposures turn out good. We all got the same idea, eh?
No idea, this original idea.
Who'd you steal this one from?
Jason Mraz when I was 14. We sing, we dance, we steal things. A lot of artists, we don't have an original idea. It's just built off of a lot of other ideas, and that then becomes originality, but itself is not really original.
I will say from my architecture background, because I know you guys love when I pull from that, no project existed as an original idea in isolation. Everything was inspired by something else. Even when you look at classical Roman and Greek architecture and column capitals and Romanesque architecture versus Baroque versus Corinthian capitals, it's everything is a motif that copied from something else that came from a different part of a world, and then people traveled and saw it. It's like, listen, you think you were, not even Michelangelo was original. Although maybe he was a little bit more original than the rest of us, but photography, definitely not original. Chris is asking if he wants to move out of the way, and like, yeah, oh no, that's perfect. So I'm just gonna be straight up honest and say I know nothing about Leica cameras. I've never tried one. I've never looked at the specs for one. I've seen people post about them. They look very aesthetic. I know the red dot, like the cult of the red dot is a thing. But a lot of people have been comparing this camera to the Leica Q3? Maybe I should check my notes. What are people saying online? People are saying Leica Q3, that they would rather buy a Leica Q3 instead of this because it has like an f1.7 lens. But I'll be honest, looking at the pictures, the Leica Q3 extends probably 2 to 3 times as much compared to this camera, and it's full frame. So one of the things that people don't seem to quite connect, especially those who are maybe thinking about like a X100. X100 is APS-C. Leica Q3 is full frame. This is medium format. So there's a difference when it comes to talking about apertures and the depth of field, because there's like mathematical formulas and equations that relate to the size of the sensor and like however. Needless to say, f4 on medium format looks a lot similar to an f2.8. Now I think if you do the exact math, this is like an f3.1 full frame equivalent. But the funny thing about Leica is that it doesn't offer me anything that my other cameras don't already have. I already have full frame. I already have some f1.4, f1.2 lenses. Yeah, you can make the argument that f1.7 on Leica is shallower than an f4 on medium format, but it's not in the same boat. And the people that might be looking at one camera are not necessarily the same people that are going to be looking at another. It's all just fake. It's really interesting. The town, the medieval town and castle that we're in right now is called Chechsky Krumlov. I know I'm saying it wrong, but it's we just kind of came from up that area and worked our way down here. We have an awesome guide who's kind of just giving us all the history of like some of the frescoes that were painted, and apparently that's the mayor's house over there. There you go, now you can kind of see where we came from. But the interesting thing is that there are all these windows, like these lookout points, these little Juliet balconies on the wall of the castle and kind of in like this courtyard that we're in now, which give really great framing opportunities. So if you're ever in a like traveling, trying to take photos, don't just take a flat, boring photo. Think about your foreground and how you can include elements that add layers and depth to your scene. Now, one of the challenges with f4 when you're thinking about full frame or even APS-C is that it doesn't give you as much depth of field, but as I mentioned with medium format, focal lengths and aperture numbers work a little bit different. Now I'll put the disclaimer in because I know some of you will complain that, oh, it's not true medium format, it's like smaller than film medium format, and fair enough, you know, a lot of people will say that this is large format, not quite medium format, but a large format digital sensor. So I can go up, you know, frame a photo and have some of those like grills and those grates and those elements and be able to get a little bit more depth and a little bit more separation than if I was shooting f4 on full frame. But f4 on full frame is still great. The first Canon RF lens that I ever purchased was a 24-105 f4, and I shot tons of great photos on that. So don't feel like f4 is limiting you when it comes to creating depth and layers in your scene. So, my brain is like, it's too dark. I need to, let's see. The number of times I've done that is ridiculous. Drop the lens filter.
The most stressful thing to watch ever is like someone unscrewing and then watching it drop, and you're like, it's glass, my heart.
In case anyone's wondering, the spelling, the Chesky Krumlov.
I think you were right, Chesky.
Is it, if we read that?
Chesky Krumlov.
Check.
You know the comment section is gonna be like, it's actually Chesky Krumlov, and then we'd be like, oh, you're just writing it out.
Apparently there's a skeleton down at the bottom of the stairs. It's where they send the bad kids after they've been bad.
Yeah, when you miss your focus, that's where you go.
Did we find a photo spot? Is that the,
No.
Hoarding that one for yourself there?
Yeah, thank you.
This is what I'm talking about with framing and layers. Right, Chris? You don't need f1.2 when you got layers that you can add to your photo.
It's true. To be honest, I actually wish that I had the ability to just pump my f-stop up even more. What am I talking about? I can do that.
You can do that. You can go to f22.
I'm way too concentrated on being like, how do I just get this like pin focus?
What did I miss?
You missed a bear.
No way.
No, I'm actually not joking. There's a bear around the corner. It's like it went into its area to go and sleep.
Hold on, at the top of the tower, or like?
No, he's at the bottom of it.
Oh my
We're
God.
safe. Don't worry. We'll go around the corner. We'll take some photos of the view, but then we'll go to the bear, which I never expected to say when I got to the top of a watchtower. That there'd be a bear.
At the top of the watchtower, kind of, but not really. Okay, so instead of alligators in a moat, it's bears in a den. The fact that they would keep bears like that.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if one of the kids got a bad idea and was like, I'm gonna go pet the bear? Little Johnny didn't make it back from the bear cave. Literally just one-handing this. Yeah, and you would also probably freak out if you knew how the camera was right now, because it's on the other side of it. No big deal, right?
It's becoming a thing now in
The
your videos.
risky things that we do.
Yeah. Apparently in the Czech Republic, you like to like hold the cameras closer to the edge.
That is where the bear comes out of. Looks like maybe there's some pumpkins or something down there. Uh-oh, is it coming out? There's the bear right there. All right, you can just roll on this. Oh, are we rolling?
We're rolling.
We're rolling. One of the things that we were just talking about with F4 and capturing a scene like this is that ideally, you want all of it to be in focus because there's a lot of foreground detail, there's a lot of background detail. And even at f4, like if I was to focus to the building that's right in front of us, you might not get some of the landscape behind in focus, which again is a stylistic choice. So I'm actually maxing out because my exposure compensation dial is like -1, -2, kind of around that point right now. And so what the camera wants to do, because I'm in auto, is it automatically is gonna max me out at like, 1/2000 or whatever. So in this case, I might actually bump it up and shoot the whole scene at f8. My eyes need some f8 right now because it's so bright, I'm squinting. But yeah, no, a camera like this with 100 megapixels, we just recorded a reel while we were up here, which you'll probably see. But the whole idea is because we have such a wide view, there's multiple things you can do, like photo tip wise. One is get a telephoto lens and zoom into details like the bridge down there, like the I believe did we just agree that was a church? The tower that's over there. But you can use a telephoto lens. You can use something like 100 megapixels to use that crop feature to isolate different portions of the scene. Or, do a panorama and do a multi-stitch mode to basically convert something that's a 28 millimeter lens into a wider angle lens, like a 16 or 15 mil.
I'll add one last little tip on there as well. We might not be able to do it now, but if you have a wide enough lens and you put it to f16, Sunny 16 as it's known, you can get those like star bursts in the sky, which is kind of like a cool thing. Is it working?
It's kind of, I'm trying to like do it with my finger, but I'm still at f4. So
I thought you were just trying to get me with a joke there.
There, f16 on the dial. Let's see, does it do it? Oh yeah.
It's doing it?
It's doing it.
There you go. Get those little flares.
I think it's kind of crazy that they put the bear in the moat. This bridge used to be a drawbridge. So I guess in order to get across, you literally had to cross the bear's bridge.
What would you rather cross though? Like water or an area with a bear?
Depends. Are there alligators in the water, or is it just like...
Ooh, is that a thing? I think that's only from like our toys that we had as kids.
That's like a cartoon thing that doesn't really exist. I don't know. I feel like give me the bear spray and I could cross, or give me like a bear bell, some sort of safety equipment, and I could...
swimming lessons.
Or no. Did you know that bears, fun fact, can actually swim insanely fast?
Oh.
Like, not only can they swim very far and very long and have good endurance, but like if you were to put Michael Phelps in a race against the bear would win.
I feel like this would be something I would actually want to watch. I feel like when the Olympics are on, I'm like, whatever. But if like Michael Phelps is racing a bear, I think I'd be interested.
Now we're at the bottom of where we started. We were up there, came all the way around down to here. Something that's been kind of fun as we take photos with the GFX100RF is that it does have a leaf shutter. That actually adds complexity to lens designs. You know that I've looked at some Hasselblad cameras lately, and of course all of their lenses have the leaf shutter inside the lens rather than having a focal plane shutter, which actually creates a technical challenge in terms of making low aperture lenses, which is why a lot of Hasselblad lenses don't have, like, you don't get an f1.8 Hasselblad lens. Like the 55mm prime that I have is an f2.8. So when you consider that, it's actually a pretty interesting technical accomplishment that this lens has the leaf shutter in it, and it's the size it is, and it's f4. Mark knows because he's on Instagram too, so he sees all the comments. I've been finding almost a full day on a single battery on the GFX. I'm hitting about maybe like 300 or 400 photos, and that's because I don't turn my camera off. It's actually on right now. So if you turn it off and you turn it on, you can definitely extend that. But as much as possible, try to bring a second battery. And also as much as possible, don't hold your camera over the ledge of the river. Just trying to see if it looks good, you know? Sitting on the edge, you think sitting on the edge is the move?
That's been the move all day.
I think sitting on the edge is the move. Oh, look, friends. On our way up here, I'm blocking where we came from. I can't show where we came from. We actually came from over there, is where we started. And as we were working our way up to the tower there, and then back down to here, I found myself not really thinking about aperture too much. And I know some of you in the comments will get upset with this, but just leaving it in auto, because the lens, you just throw it into A and you kind of just don't think about it. But you'll notice with a lot of the data that I'll show you on screen with the photos that I shot is that not all of them were shot at f4. I think a lot of them have been, but f5.6 if it gets a little bit bright, because you need to balance all of your settings. And really in a beautiful city like this, you know, I mentioned that you kind of want to capture everything in focus and nice detail and sharp from foreground to background. And so sometimes you do need to up your aperture a little bit. So whether or not you're considering a camera like this, a medium format camera, or you're looking at your maybe like first lens that's a step up from a kit lens, maybe it's an f4 lens, I don't think there's any reason to be afraid of f4. Now, of course, there are other times when you want more than f4, Maybe you want something that's a prime lens. Maybe you want something that's f1.8. But for more details on that, check out one of these videos right here. Now till the next one, grab your camera, get out, and go shoot photos.